You're listening to the Business and Life Podcast, where 7 days a week, proven entrepreneurs share their success stories, failures, and give you true value on how you can build a great business and an awesome life. With your host, Mike Olivas.
Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hey, nice to meet you. Happy to be here.
Nice to meet you. So tell us where you're from and a little bit about your business.
So I'm originally from Philly, and now I live in Boca Raton, Florida, warm. My business is pretty awesome. I am a digital serial content creator for health and wellness coaches, fitness, nutritionists, doctors, functional medicine practitioners, you name it. We create content. We allow you to do more of what your zone of genius is, coaching. And this started because I struggled when I started my health and wellness practice. It was brutal. It's the thing that nobody tells you. Everyone likes to say, my client got 100 signups for the detox, but they don't say, how long did it take to make the program? How long did it take to make that PowerPoint? All that, and that's the stuff we take care of. I've pretty much turned my pain into my product.
Awesome. That's exactly right. I always say people's mess becomes their message. The pain becomes the product. I love it. So tell me a little bit about who is your demographic? Who's your target demo usually?
I would say there's all different stages. Just like in health and wellness, when I teach, I say, think of your ideal client, their avatar, not just who's your niche and sub-niche. Those days were 5-6 years ago in the digital marketing space. Now we really have to go more into specifics and behaviors, their daily action steps. So when I think of my ideal client, I actually more step into the shoes of their ideal client at stages of their problems. So if we have a stage 1 to 3 problems, they're feeling off. They're not feeling the greatest. Nothing's really wrong. They're not in chronic illness, autoimmune, mystery illness. They just have some of what I call normal people problems. Yeah. So when I think of our coaches, I think of them more in the stages of the people they coach. And that's how we craft our content, really based on, are you a higher level coach? It's not a knowledge or lack of. I think even for us as business owners, it's more our constitution. Are we better online, offline? Are we really good at sales? Or do we need a program that takes them slower through steps? Are you dealing with a more advanced client who is what I call that 1% biohacker? So when we're crafting content, it's not just my ideal client, whether they're doing evergreen webinars versus a workshop. It's more, how are they actually communicating in every aspect to their ideal client?
Awesome. So tell our listeners why you feel content is so important.
Oh man, content's king and queen. When I think of anything, we say, how do I get clients? How do I keep clients? We all want to, whether you have a membership or you're working online or you're working offline, at the end of the day, it's lead generation. We have to give content, just like Gary Vaynerchuk, my favorite, says, you can't just right hook. You can't just go in and say, buy from me. You have to say, here, I'm going to jab. I'm going to jab again. I'm going to give you free value. I'm going to show you these mini steps of the pain points and lead you down this path. A funnel that really works, and I think that we've stepped away from this, is actually a first date. So let's just pretend, let's take this into the guise of really us understanding our life. Sure. In comparison to a funnel. Content is king or queen because whether it's a blog post, a workshop, a lead magnet where you're like, hey, this is Mike, come and check out my podcast, download this.
Yep.
You're solving a problem. So when they go to download, that's actually when somebody says, oh yeah, I totally want to date you because I trust you. Yeah, give me your number. But in the before that, you just see this really attractive girl at a bar and you're like, I've seen her here every Thursday. I wonder if she comes here after work. She's really hot. She always seems like she's friendly, and you've checked her out. And it's not just once, unless you are like my husband and I, where it's just love at first sight and you're like, that's it, I'm going after that. But I would say for the majority of us, We look, we see if it's something we're interested in, and then we trust. We give an email. Unlike the days, let's just even say 6 years ago, where people weren't trained like they are with marketing now. And we could have different marketing strategies, but that moment that you come into the funnel, then it's a conversation. So at that first stop, what makes somebody actually open the next email for the next gift, the next step? So if somebody really becomes what I call that paying client that stays with you, it's because you've given in a balance of, here, I'm going to take you down this path, and now I'm going to give you a paid opportunity, which really makes sense because we've had this amazing conversation. That's where content feeds in at all different stages.
And so what kind of content are you trying to enforce in terms of, not enforce, but ensure that your clients are posting? Is it a holistic approach like it is with marketing? Are we ensuring that, I know there's a lot of things like SEO value, and then you got an impressional value on the video side. And now, of course, with podcasts, there's the download value and also, impressional value. So is it a holistic approach, or are you saying right now what's hot is X, it's video, it's blogs, it's responding to, answers online? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's an amazing question. And I really also think that has to come down to the business owner of really how you show up and where is your zone of genius. So let me just explain that really clearly. I'm an advocate always for video. If we go back to pioneers, people that I feel broke the mold, I would think of someone like Marie Forleo. So if we even took this out of health and wellness, I think of people who I follow who have videos, because that's really where you build trust. So when we're teaching, and that's why podcasts are so interesting, it's these little nuggets where somebody can say, oh, I'm going to listen to this while I'm driving to work. Yeah. I'm working out. I think it's more not just even trendy. It's like, for your ideal client, how do they digest information? I'm a big teaching video series person because I truly believe that people have to see it and also read it. So they need different ways of processing information. I think in this day and age, you don't want to bleed yourself dry in every area. But the truth is, if you're also not in every area these days, you don't test to then know what to invest, meaning where to invest your time. Isn't always should I have is Facebook algorithms working? Is a Facebook ad? What process should I use? Should I use XYZ platform? I think it's really testing and giving yourself time without quitting. I see a lot of people, they'll start a podcast, but they haven't planned it out. And so it doesn't work. I really do believe when we take the time to work any platform, any format, videos, teaching series, challenges online, challenges offline, it's really about what? Connection. So if somebody like you has a sick, unbelievable personality to keep a podcast going, jam on it all day, all night. Yeah. But if you don't, please stop, collaborate, and listen. Step back and don't do a podcast.
That makes sense. Okay, so you're saying that video is hot. Tell me a little bit about what you would say to a coach or someone trying to push a mastermind, for example. You might have clients like this. How often are they coming up with new content, and how are they coming up with it? Are they just seeing what's hot out there and taking their own take on it? And I think, listeners, if you're out there listening, you're talking about like, oh my God, I'm not going to do video. Just here, I sucked at video. I sucked at podcasting. Everyone's going to suck at everything at first. You got to crawl before you walk. It's normal. Make yourself uncomfortable, and you will realize how much more comfortable you are in the long term and how much amazing ROI you're going to get because you took the risk to feel a little bit weird in front of a camera, or I'm doing video here. If you're listening and if you want to watch, we're doing video here. So I want to be able to interact. I want to see Rachel and just discuss with her. I see like what her aneurysms are. So when it comes down to us and us engaging, that's important. But video seems to be hot. Rachel, tell us how often someone would have to post on to stay relevant, if you will.
I think that's a great question. In a world where you have influencers left and right, social media companies, whether someone is a solo entrepreneur listening to this or they do have a team, you have to sit there first and say, let me practice. I think this is something that no one's talking about. We don't just go and crush it and make sales on a webinar unless we practice. So I think actually if we reverse engineer from that question and say, if I know that in March or April, I am going to launch this masterclass and it's for this ideal person, that means 6 to 8 weeks before, you are dripping out the problem you're talking about. Almost like if somebody wants to Google soap opera sequence. Like you're telling somebody, man, this was really hard. You're drilling down on that topic and you're mapping out 8 weeks of content. And that's where we come in, is who has that time to do it? If we're out there practicing sales, practicing meeting with other people, gain them on the phone, we don't have time to create that content. So if you want to launch something and it's the solution to biohacking for entrepreneurs who are crazy peeps like us, no health issues. I'm going to talk about every week energy. I'm going to talk about biohacking. I'm going to talk about digestive issues, immune. I'm going to think about anti-aging. I would say, to answer your question about the trends, I'm a huge believer in breaking trends, flipping the script, going the opposite at times.
Yes.
I think that that's actually where the leaders in the industry come. You're like, hey, I see this current theme with ketogenic. Really, most people have abused this word and they don't understand keto. Keto was formulated by Mark Sisson, Terry Walls, Dave Asprey. Let's talk about the true core of ketogenic. I think that's where we fail. It isn't how much should I show up. It's, are you strategically looking at your content without overwhelm, without going, oh my God, it's December and now I have to launch in January. You can do that when you've gotten to a rinse and repeat and you've built trust.
Right.
The person who is either starting out or they're not converting, one, big question, what do I want to be known for? Two, your content should be consistent. We only have, I love all the C words. We only have connection when we're consistent. Yep. People only want to opt in, not because we're a one-hit wonder, but because we've consistently shown up and been an educator and said, hey, I've been testing out 10 different B12s. This is my favorite company. I mean, I can literally it's like, this is the company I love.
Yeah.
It's drilling down. I think that's the part where people misunderstand content.
Life Nation, we're all striving towards different goals. Maybe your goal is to finally quit the 8 to 5 grind, quit your job, or take the next step with your existing business. Whatever the goal may be, regardless of your reasons, if you are serious about taking the next step and finally trying to build the life that you deserve, the life that you want to live, take the leap of faith. Go to michaellivas.com and let's discuss your goals and life. It's 100% free. There's no obligation. It's michaellivas.com. Schedule a quick call. I'd love to help.
We still have to coach the content. We still have to connect these missing dots. We also have to put the pieces of the puzzle together, because what? In a world of functional medicine testing, so much information, so much misinformation, people are just like, I'm busy. Can you straight up tell me what to do? That's all we are doing. Yep. Daily saying, hey, this is what I had to do today. I wasn't, hey, now go and download this if you really like this, and then go and analyze what actually worked. Sit there each month, look at the comments, look at the downloads on, if you do have a podcast, did that challenge convert? Are you better in a webinar? Are you better? I mean, I always say, really, list building and content strategy is about connection. If you're not doing online, be willing to say, my goal is to go and pitch to these gyms. Let's just say we're in the health, pitch to a CrossFit gym and get 400 people, pitch to an MMA fighting studio, pitch to a karate studio. And I know this because that's what I did, is if you really want to connect and your zone of genius is meeting people and being able to really work a room, then use the online space to build authority, to do videos, to test it out, and then figure out where you're really going to monetize and where your ROI truly works for you.
That's great. That's a great point. I think when it comes down to the content aspect, guys, here, and what the takeaway here is that consistency is really big, especially if, coming up with the content yourself. You could either be Googling it, or obviously you can reach out to Rachel. Where can they find you, by the way?
yourhealthcoachbiz.com. It's real simple. And if anyone has a question, because look, at the end of the day, every business owner, no matter what business we're in, and especially in health and wellness, that's attraction marketing. And guys, if you don't know what attraction marketing is, Google it. It pretty much means in short terms that people are following you and they want what you have. You don't have to be beautiful. You don't have to be thin. You don't have to be, have this great personality. You just have to be real, solving real problems for real people. And so that's pretty much what we do, is we create content so that coaches don't have to freak out and say, well, what is a trending topic? Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to connect this weight loss to intermittent fasting. That intermittent fasting guide would take me X amount of time. Right. So instead of spending the hours doing that, you can spend more time reaching out, getting on podcasts like you, having influencers like you, Mike, really support that coach or wherever they find their zone of genius, so that they're really getting clients, converting them.
I think that's a really good point. And I think for those influencers out there in the health space or any space, but obviously specifically for Rachel here, the health space, but anybody that has an influence, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or just within 100 friends in your mastermind or your subscription model on, Facebook. What it comes down to is a lot of these guys are following you. You mentioned something that's very powerful, because it's you. Right. So your organic approach towards it, and also knowing that, I think that's really good. The attraction marketing angle. And I know that world, I get it and I understand it, but sometimes I got to be posting on the beach because this is about business and life. And I live right on the water in the Caribbean because I built the life I want to live through creating a business that was the engine. And that's a really big point. And that's, people see that and they go, how do I get it? Right. Great. Let me teach you how to get it. That's why I do some coaching. But in reality, I can only take maybe 8, 10 clients. I don't take everybody because I can't, because I have companies to run. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that people are really vested in understanding. Let's reverse engineer this life that you want to live. And I think that that's a really good point, that if you're out there and you're on the top of the food chain in terms of your industry, make sure that you understand people are looking at you that way, and they want to be able to find a way to at least get a piece of that.
And even furthermore, Mike, I think for anyone who's new, we're all influencers. And I think too often, I love what you just said, like, I created the life I really wanted to live. And you're able to work with 8 people. What about the hundreds who are like, Mike, I want to get to work with you? And you're like, well, you need a clear foundation first. Yep. You can't start working with me and me teach you how to have what I have unless you've got list builders, you've tested, you come to me and you're really clear. So for the coach that's new, that is a testing phase.
Yeah.
You are an influencer. And I think the biggest thing is to, one, get over yourself. This business is not about you. And it's not about, I love when we go, it's not about just sitting here. If you guys are watching this, it's like, it's not just going, oh my God, this is a great smoothie bowl.
It's like, not all selfies and rainbows.
No, it's like, tell me why that's a great smoothie bowl, because everyone's saying that.
Yeah.
An influencer can be somebody, as you said, I love that you brought up Facebook, because I had no clients and I came from commercial real estate where I had a huge list. They didn't convert over to my health and wellness. I had to build that brand fresh and new. So how do you build it? You have lots of different content freebies. Before you go and create a huge course, you test, or you test with this low-end strategy that I always talk about, little short workshops, because you'll see what people want. And then you'll create that. Even if you believe that somebody's got to go keto or detox or raw, it doesn't matter, because you've connected those dots and you've built trust to lead them down the path. So whether you have low-end, high-ticket, membership, retreats, they will flow with you through every process.
How have you built this business to create the life that you want to live?
That's a great, I built it actually the same way I built my wellness company, Rachel's Wellness. I really tested with free workshops. I give a lot. And I think people always say, well, I give a lot and how am I going to get a return? It's like, because you give them those mini steps. So I gave a lot of content. I do a lot of teaching videos. I show up. I show up even when I feel crappy. I have an autoimmune. I was sick, this last month, and I still showed up. And I showed people how I was with no voice. And still I've got a raspy voice right now. The day I had no voice, I showed up on a live and I said, guys, too often you see somebody go, oh, I got my autoimmune. It's not running my life. I want to show you what I do to not have it run my life. That one Facebook live with me with no voice got over 1,000 views and 20 personal messages saying, Rachel, are you seeing people anymore? I know you don't see clients. Can I be your client? And I said, no, but you can come and you can see the coaches I know. In that moment, I realized this is what we're not doing. We're not showing our life. We're just saying, hey, this is great. Do this. This is what I have. Everyone says that. Be different, break the mold, go back old school to a time where we weren't just depending on bots and automation funnels. Content comes in because you show up, you connect, and you build that trust.
Yeah, real content, and also throw that personal approach in there.
100%.
Show up to work when you're sick, like Rachel does. That's necessary as an entrepreneur. There's no sick days.
Who's going to hire me if I'm not walking my walk and talking my talk?
That's true.
If I'm eating like crap, I'm like, oh, guys, I read content for crap. But here I'm going to drink some crappy smoothie.
Yeah.
No way. So I think that's the part we've abandoned. We get scared. And that's when you are like, well, what method works? At the end of the day, the method that I believe really works is show up. Stop overthinking. Stop thinking somebody else is just saying it. Somebody else, this person, there's somebody with your same story. Doesn't mean this whole business is about you. And a Facebook is not about a rant or your personal diary. It's about doing things with intention. And we've gotten out of it because we're like, oh, my social media company's posting. No, actually, step back in to your business. Have your team members, or if you're outsourcing to another country, still give them direction. Because at the end of the day, this business is really about somebody saying, I want what that person has. I want to consistently show up in my business. And so if we really take our lives and we stop overthinking our content, but then lead with content, so we deliver these mini steps, these mini books, these PDFs, these checklists, understand how our avatar processes information, they'll be like, oh my God, I have followed you, which I heard in my business all the time. I've followed you I followed you for a year. That means 365 days. That means daily posts, freebies. That means social media. You don't know where they are necessarily. Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook. That's why Grant Cardone is always like, in the 5 minutes that you guys all complained, I was going to use a different word, complained about not having time, I just post on 7 networks. It's just taking the same thing. It's working smarter.
Yeah. Stop bitching and complaining and start posting.
100%. Stop saying you don't have time. Yeah. By the time you said that, I just literally did a post while you're bitching, talking about how somebody didn't have time.
Yeah, that's right.
I did a post saying, you're saying you don't have time, but I just juiced or put chlorophyll in a cup by the time and swung it, and you're still complaining that you don't have time.
Rachel, in all your successes and failures, give us one piece of parting advice for the business and Live Nation today.
Oh, that could be a loaded question, a 24-hour podcast where we didn't even sleep. But I will say that it's really short and simple. I am a doer. So in doing, sometimes it is throwing spaghetti against the wall. It is trying to test. I wish I could have gone back and people did say this, but I didn't really listen because that overwhelm overrided. I think if you don't have a personality like a you or me, where we can go, and be up against that friction, not everyone's set for launching all the time, every day. No. It's to go back and say, okay, so really analyze, take 5 to 10 hours every month. Sit down and see what worked. Look at emails. Don't just jump ship and go to a different platform. Don't just blame it on something. Test it. See what didn't work, and then massage it, remassage it. I think going back and looking is there was a lot more of rinse and repeat that I could have done earlier, and just reworked sales pages, reworked opt-in pages, reworked it instead of creating more work.
There you go. You don't got to reinvent it, guys. You can rinse and reuse and make it better, because a lot of people have those processes in place. You got to keep making them better. That's great advice. Rachel, thanks so much for your knowledge and sharing all of your successes, and also how hard it was, obviously, to get there. And if you guys want to find Rachel again, can you give them the website?
Yep. yourhealthcoachbiz.com. You can also go to my other site, which is my happy home with free tools, which is Rachel, RACHELA, Feldman, FELDMAN.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Take it easy.
Life Nation, you got to remember that in order for things to change, you must change. And in order for things to get better, you must get better. You just got better by hanging out with me, Michael Libas, and the Business and Life Nation. So come back tomorrow, because I'm here dropping sound bombs 7 days a week, baby. If you'd like to subscribe, please do, so you can take action and execute. See you tomorrow.